All right, let's talk about independent journalism, which is what we are, compared to the corporate media and the local news stations that are sort of all jumped together as one big mega conglomerate led in many ways by the Associated Press, which sort of feeds information to these local news stations. So cities across America are seeing a wave of violent crime that has, of course, forced many large retailers to shut down. You keep hearing the stories, right? REI is shutting down in Portland because of crime. Starbucks is shutting stores because of crime.
Walgreens,
Whole Foods are shutting down because of crime. And big stores are saying enough is enough because the big cities have so much crime in it. Even the Seattle Mail. This was today, right? Or yesterday, overnight. Seattle stops mail for certain zip codes where postal theft is rampant because all these postal employees are being mugged. Hey, give me the packages. And so they're like, this is untenable. Like, how can we even deliver mail anymore? Because the crime is so high right now.
What do you do then? You just have to get a P.O. box?
Yeah, I guess you just get a P.O. box or maybe no. This is probably all part of the plan. They'll use the Amazon drones to just drop it at your doorstep. So we don't need postal employees anymore.
That doesn't solve the problem of package theft.
But I guess if you could be out there with drones, like with a baseball bat, and here comes the drone with a package and you just like bat it out of the sky.
Also not a tenable solution.
Know. So, well, the media, though, has a solution. How do you fix this crime problem? Here's the solution. We're just going to lie to you about what's happening. And we'll try to frame all of this crime in a more favorable light on your nightly newscasts. So if you live in West Virginia and you flip on WVVA television, maybe your local news station is now going to be part of this new movement to lie to you about the news and about what's actually happening with crime. And I'm not saying they're on the list. I'm just using that as an example because I used to work there in West Virginia. That's one news station that came to mind.
Okay. Well, what they're calling this is public safety journalism, as if the journalism we haven't had up till now is keeping you unsafe.
Yeah. So 27 newsrooms across the country have now signed on for this new kind of journalism to change this narrative about the crime. So what exactly is this?
Public safety journalism is essentially when the media is training itself on how to report on news for the social good, which is interesting for especially those of us who've studied media theory. Is the journalism to change the world, or is it to inform citizens about the world so that they can change the world themselves? That is my theory, is not that my job is to reorder society or tell you how to think. My job as a journalist is to give you everything that we find, especially the things that are being hidden, so you decide how you vote, how you behave, how you protect your family. Apparently, that is not the public ethos in journalism. Now, journalists really feel like they are, what's the word where you wear a codpiece? Superhero.
Oh, yeah,
like
they're omnipotent. Like they are the ones, Anderson Cooper of the world. Like they feel like that they are here to save us. The Don Lemons of the world. Like they're the ones who are really here to tell you how to think.
Right. They're going to save you from yourself, basically. So, now, here is the initiative from the Poynter Institute. This is to train mainstream media outlets on what they call purpose-driven journalism. The purpose is to identify the journalistic purpose behind stories about individual crimes, as well as stories about cops, courts, and public safety. Only then, they say, can they analyze and possibly change that purpose, as if they've got one agenda. I don't like the word purpose at all in journalism. It's as if like we have an agenda to frame the world as such. What they're hinting at here is fairly obvious. They're asking, are they over covering one group of race of people? Basically, are they leaving things out on purpose? Well, here are some relevant questions. Does the media make it seem like violent crime is on the rise? And do they need to take responsibility for that? Well, according to the FBI, violent crime is on the rise. Take a look at statistics we have. The FBI has only released data through 2021. Yes, that looks like it's on the rise. That's an undesirable society. Is it the media's fault for covering that or not covering that? That's something you should ask yourself. Does the media make it seem like one race is responsible for crimes more? Well, according to the FBI, that also is true. Violent crimes are committed about equally by blacks and whites. Violent crimes people are victims of violent crimes, more so white, but a lot Black as well. Consider that the African American population in the United States is about 14 to 15%. They are disproportionately victims. They are also disproportionately perpetrators. Both things are true according to the FBI. If we're just laying out the data that the FBI is showing us, right? Now, does it make the media make it seem like one gender is responsible for more crime? Well, yes, because the FBI is reporting biological gender. That may stop soon, but at this moment, you are equally likely, if you are of either sex, to be a victim. You are much more likely to be a perpetrator if you are a male. You can see that males create more than 3/4 of crimes. So
I just want to go through. So the Poynter Institute, right, got so far 27 of these newsrooms to join on with this crime reporting. So I just want to show you on your screen here. Maybe you live in one of these cities, so you'll recognize this is from the Poynter Institute. These newsrooms represent some of the largest media markets in the United States, as well as some of the smallest. Here, ABC News, Philadelphia. The Associated Press is signed on for this. Your state-funded Associated Press. So if you see an AP news article about crime, they're going to be part of this process now. Anchorage, Baltimore, CBS Detroit. You can see these different cities all across the country here. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, Detroit.
So what they're saying is not that we think our news coverage should reflect the real world. They're saying we think our news coverage should not hurt one group's feelings. We need to think about how we choose to cover them or not cover them and make sure that it's sensitive. Is it sensitive? Does it help minority communities to downplay the role that violent crime might play in their neighborhood? I mean, let's just play this out, right? They have a choice here between covering a robbery or a violent crime. One perpetrator is Black, one perpetrator is white, and they're saying we should give them equal opportunity. But if you think about the victims as well, Black victims are not being represented here either.
Right.
And does it serve somebody to paint your neighborhood as if there is not crime if you live there and you are a victim of crime, if you are living in these terrorized neighborhoods?
It's ignoring what's actually happening.
No, we're choosing to be sensitive to the perpetrators and not the victims.
Right, which is exactly what we saw in that shooting at that Christian school with the trans shooter. Right? Why do we not have a manifesto? Why is the media not asking tough questions about this person and the manifesto that was written? Like, why is that being kept under wraps?
Why is it not censored on social media to call her a hero?
Right.
When a lot of transgender people have.
Yeah.
Right? Those kind of things. Yes, absolutely.
Well, can I chime in real quick? The danger of, like, when you look at all those news organizations that signed up, the AP being signed up for that basically covers the majority of news outlets out there, because the AP is often like the source for other news agencies.
Oh yeah,
so like
for
that
sure.
Right there, that's like poisoning the well.
So what you'll notice is, you may notice if you pick up your local newspaper, not your big newspapers, but if you pick up your local newspaper, what you'll notice is, if you look at very closely at the byline of the article that you're reading, very often it's from the Associated Press. It's not even from your local Racine, Wisconsin newspaper. It's just literally reprinted from the Associated Press. So to Philip's point, the Associated Press blasts this stuff out all over the place, and if they're involved in it, then you almost don't even need all these little small news stations, because they're going to regurgitate what the Associated Press says anyway.
Right. And, again, if the media is not reflecting your daily life, if you're living in one of these terrorized and drug-infested communities, it doesn't make you feel good that the media is trying to sort of ignore the crimes that you are living in. And it doesn't, nobody needs the media as a vigilante. Right. We absolutely do not. That's not the role of the media. The media is only supposed to be an ombudsman to, speak the truth of social living.
Yeah. Here are the facts. The stuff that we cover on this show, a lot of it has been redacted. That's the name of our show. It's being kept from you. And so when we present it to you, you can take and do with it what you want.
We presented a study recently of journalistic newsrooms where they asked editors, and they said, well, we think that, what was it? Neutrality, being neutral or being unbiased is a racist tenet, and we just don't aim for it anymore.
Yeah. Being neutral is bias. Being neutral is racist.
Being neutral is racist and paternalistic. And so we don't aim for it. I mean, no wonder that trust in the media is eroding because of this utter crap.
Yeah.
As someone who studied media theory at length, I have a master's in sociology with an emphasis in mass media. This makes me fall apart and melt. It just melts my heart to think about how the media has become so full of itself that it needs to lead social change instead of just inform and trust the public.
That's why we need more independent journalists like what we feature. We try to feature a lot of independent journalists here on Redacted, people who have their own Substack or are worked for your independent media organizations, those that maybe worked in the mainstream media and got fed up with it and wanted to be out there, as a neutral voice, but being able to bring stories to light. So that's why it's so important to support independent journalism. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.